First chuck, straight away on the bread feeder. Not sure what it is, but it's nice to get a bite a bit quick. Oh, that'll do. Look at that, that's a pommy. So that is classed as a silver bream. I need to get my bibbing brace on. I was that rushed to get out there. So look at that. That's the sort of fish you can expect to catch. They're really difficult to catch on the right day as well, a little pommy like that. So let's talk about where I am and what I'm doing. So you join me on Shipp's Tips episode 29, and I am on the famous Gloucester Canal. I used to fish this venue week in, week out years ago, and let me tell you, when you're on fish on here, it is brilliant. But we're doing something different. We're fishing with bread today. So I've mixed up the bread. First cast, I've got a pommy straight away, and I'm sure we're going to have a great day. Let's talk about the kit, because the kit's really important as well. I've got a 11-foot super light rod. I've got 012 absolute braid down to a 420 reel, and I've got a nice little feeder set. I've got one of those braided links on there, one of the Preston ones, the short ones. I like the short ones. Then I've got a bit of 8-pound sinking feeder mono, which obviously the cameraman will probably come in close later on to show you, probably about 8 inches. And then I've got an 011 Aki power hook length down to a size, I'm starting on the 14N10, which is one of my favourite hooks for this. And bait-wise, it doesn't get any easier. I've got my bread there. Obviously, I'll show you how to mix that up in a minute. This is the new Punch Crumb. Now, this is what this video is all about. That stuff has to be the product of 2026. It is so easy. It's double baked bread. And that, believe it or not, in there is 1 pint of bread, or the Punch Crumb, to 1 pint of water. And that's how much it bulks out. So I've got virtually 3 litres of bread there. So for a session like I'm doing on the Gloucester Canal, it is absolutely perfect. That stuff, honestly, it smells like you've just come out of a bakery. It is beautiful. It doesn't matter if you're fishing rivers, canals, you know, natural venues. You can fish that wherever you want. And it's simple. I've got my little bait thing here. I'm starting on quite a big punch, an 8mm, like that. I'm just putting that on that 14 hook, push it round, a little squeeze, not too much. And I've got a little hex mesh 30-gram feeder on there. A little bit like a cage feeder they are. Little squeeze like that. Doesn't get better. I've started with a hook length of around about 20 inches. Let's chuck this out. And I'm fishing in a count of around about 4, which I would say probably 8 to 10 foot. So let's get that down and see if we can get another bite. I love this sort of fishing. I do actually miss it a lot. And I miss fishing the Gloucester Canal. I used to fish this all the time. Not with bread, admittedly. Bread come along probably, you know, several years ago, people started fishing bread on here. But bread can be an absolute pain. You've got to spend a lot of time messing around with it in the kitchen. With this new Punch Crumb, it is basically, you can do it the night before. You can then put it in the freezer. You can treat it no different as if you're doing liquidised bread. And like I said, don't let anybody tell you any different. That is bread. It's nothing else apart from bread. You put it into a 1-to-1 mix, and it just comes out like the perfect liquidised bread. There's another indication straight away, which is really good. Hopefully, as the session goes along, we'll catch some better quality fish. It's normally the Gloucester Canal. You might be lucky enough to cast out and catch some big skimmers in Bream. Some days you might start off with some small fish, and then hopefully the bigger fish will move on. But fingers crossed, Shipp's Tips will be another great episode, and we'll be catching plenty of fish and run you through everything that we're doing as we go along in the film. I just chuck my box down. Obviously now let's get the bait done. Now you can do this the night before. Some people might not, but I want to show you how easy this punch crumb is easy to do. It is absolutely unbelievable. Now let's just talk about the product itself, because it is bread. Let no one tell you any different. This is double baked bread. It's amazing. It looks really fine in the packet, but like you'll find in a minute when I mix it, the finished product is amazing. So let's take the clip off because I've used a bit already. One thing you will have to do is measure it out, and it's like a 1-to-1 mix. So I'm not going to do loads. That's probably enough. Let's just finish that bag off. So we are literally smack on 1.1 or 1.2 pints, whatever that container is. Stick that in a bucket, and it's the same amount of water. It doesn't get easier. So exactly the same amount of water, straight in like that. Mix it around. Make sure you get all the dry punch covered in water. And you can smell, it's just like you've just come out of a bakery. It's an amazing product. And what I love about it is, you know, when you want to do liquidized bread, it is a pain. When I used to do it a lot years ago, it was like, oh, I've got to go out and do it in the kitchen. You make a mess. With this stuff, you can do it on the bank. You can do it the night before. You can even take this back home and put it in the freezer and possibly use it on your next time out. That's entirely up to you. I used to do a big batch and freeze it up. And you can do the same with this. If you want to do a couple of bags up, put it in individual bags, put it in the freezer, that's absolutely fine. It's exactly the same. And you cannot believe how quick this stuff takes the water in. Look at that already. And that's like a 50-50 mix of water. And all it does is that 1 pint will probably come up to 2 pints, because it all takes the water and it all goes fluffy, and it makes for the perfect punch crumb. There's lots of different ways of, like, you're going to be able to fish with this on canals like I am today. You can go on rivers. You can even use it on commercials. We all know in the winter, sometimes I've been dobbing bread. Looks like it's snowing now, but it's not. It's the bits coming off the trees. I think we're in for a bit of a storm actually. But even if in the commercials, when you're dobbing bread, sometimes I just think, I just wish I had a tiny little bit of like punch crumb to actually put over the top, especially when you're fishing for F1s. And that's what this stuff gives you. The versatility of this stuff is flipping impressive, let me tell you. So I reckon now, by the time I finish talking, I can push that through a riddle. Now, it's up to you what riddle. I do like the finer riddle when I'm doing this sort of stuff. Stick that on a riddle, like that. I would probably, if I wasn't filming, I'd probably get on and set a couple of rods up or pole rigs. But while we're filming, let's get it through. And you can feel that now, that's all lovely and fluffy. Obviously, you've got to work a little bit harder to push it through a fine riddle like I'm using. If you use the blue Preston one, obviously that would go through much, much quicker. I just want, oh, there's a fish just top there, which is good news. So stick that through. It's lovely and smooth. When I first seen this product, I was like, what? How is that possible? And like I said, it is double baked bread. Get that through like that. Smells exactly like you've just been up Tesco's, bought yourself a loaf of bread and liquidized it. And just look at that. How simple, easy and quick is that? And it is just double baked bread. Amazing how they've done that like that. And there you go. No messing. Punch crumb at its best. Smells as fresh as you just got it out of a bakery. I can't wait to get using it. It feels like a better fish. That's the 4th chuck. So I've missed 2 little indications. Chuck this out, literally set the tip. It's gone straight round. I would say that's a better skimmer. It's definitely going to use it. I put my bibbing brace on as well because we just had a little bit of rain. But aggressive bite, and I think you'll find that on bread fishing. Ooh, he's having a right good. Yeah, that'll do. That is what we want. The nice thing about bread is, well, you get such a good hook hold because there's nothing on the hook. Obviously, that bread just dissolves off once they've sucked it in. Lovely Gloucester Canal. That hook's actually gone through. Out the other side. Let's hold him up. Look at that, probably a pound. £1.6, I reckon. Ooh, look at that. A good old punch crumb. Now, if he's rock up, we could have a hell of a day, let me tell you. And that was really quick, that bite. And I think that's something you've got to be aware. I used to do a lot of this sort of fishing years ago. Not just on canals, but on rivers as well. And your bites come pretty quick. All right, let's have a go. So get me punch. So stick with it 8mm at the minute. Obviously, I've got variations. I can go 10mm. So I get that right through the centre of that punch like that. And how cheap of a day you can have with this. You know, a bag of that punch crumb, a bag of Warburton's bread. Look at that. Doesn't get easier, does it? Let's try and chuck it down the same hole. Beautiful. Get that rod down. Get that. There's a load of rubbish on the top. All the bits are coming off the trees. It's quite windy today. Get that off. I literally tweak that up like that. The way the rod went round, I thought it was going to be a roach. So I've got everything set nice. Just a rod, just a couple of inches off the canal water. I'm not really tightening down. Once I've sort of got the braid down, there's a little bit of toe at the moment going left to right, so that catches everything up. Another little knot then. Definitely a few little fish about there as well at the moment. That's one thing you've got to be aware of with breader. If you do get a few knocks, you'll probably have to bring it back and cast again. Might even shorten my hook length down. I've started with like a 2-foot one. There's enough colour in the canal today, I think, where you could probably bring your hook length down to like 18 inches, even down to a foot. So I've had a couple of little knocks there, and in my mind, definitely going to leave it just for a couple more seconds and bring it back in and have a recast. No. Have another recast. To be fair, that bread's still, tiny little bit of bread's on, so that was probably still on. Just flatten that bread. I've got my little bristle grease thing now. Just flatten it out like that. Then put your bread punch in, smack in the middle like that. Twist him around a little bit. And then just a little squeeze to make sure that's going to get you out there and get you down on the deck. Little squeeze on the bread. Hold it back a bit. Beautiful. Perfect, that. Just make sure that braid's down. Little tweak of the reel a couple of times just to get a little bit more tension on. And that punch crumb, you could fish with that all day, no messing, even if it was sunny. It's beautiful, that is. And you can chuck it. I've been experimenting while we've been fishing. How good that is. Creates a nice big cloud. It all sinks. It's just absolutely bang on. And anywhere you go fishing in the UK, oh my God almighty. That, I thought I was on the shearwater then fishing for carp the way that went round. I don't know if Jake got that on camera. Did you, Jake? He did. That was a horrendous bite. And it's a roach or a small skimmer. It's just when it wanted a big fish, I'd have probably snapped my hook length off. Probably one of those pommies again, I reckon. Oh, let's have a nice big roach. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, it's a bob nud. I'm gonna net him. There, look at that. Nice little rudd. 8 ounces, I reckon. Well hooked. That's why. What a bite that was. I thought I was going to latch into a 20-pound mirror then. Oh, I got the wrong punch there. So I'm sticking with that. Nice Preston punch as well. They come with like this hole in them. You don't have to mess around. Like I said, fold that on. Just a little squeeze. Beautiful fishing. Honestly, I love it. It's like going back. Like I used to do this all the time years ago. It's just nice to come out and do it again. Especially when you've got a product like that. Because I used to get home from work and go, oh, I've got to do me punch crumb. What a pain. Make a mess in the kitchen, cutting all the crusts off and all that. Not with this product. You actually do want to come out and do this fishing because that is so easy. So it's nice to get a few early bites. Hopefully the skimmers will come in. You never know, do you? But as long as I'm getting bites, I'm not fussed, to be fair. I might even go up to a like a 10mm punch actually, which is that one there, which is quite a big punch. But really, when you're talking about a bream skimmer, even when I used to fish on the Canal, I used to start on like a 6mm punch. Oh, that was like a liner then. It might be little fish. There you go. Brilliant. So I left that. It's lovely, isn't it? When you go on a natural venue like this, fishing braid, it's another skimmer. Take the back wind off just in case. And having the right rod, that super light 11 foot is so right for these sort of venues. When I use these at Tamar. It's a nice fish. Feels a bit bigger than the other skimmer I had actually. And I know Jake will be filming and he will be gagging to get on this rod, wouldn't you, Jake? Because he loves this style of fishing. Oh yeah, that'll do. Look at that. Beautiful fishing. Yes. Look at that. That is mint, that. Well worth getting out of bed. Oh, let me just take me down there. That's all right. All right. Absolutely mint. £1.50 for that one, I reckon, close on. Because we've got the footpath behind us, obviously I've got to get me net out of the way. So make sure you get all that. There's a little bit of fluff about it at the minute as well, because that time of year. Make sure that little feeder set up there, like I said, is absolutely beautiful. Let's get on that. Same again, 8mm. Smack in the middle like that. No, make sure it goes in the middle. Because the last thing you want is to be sat there thinking, oh, is me bread on? So I'm making sure that the point of that hook comes down through the middle of that 8mm punch. Like that. A tiny little squeeze. It's something that I used to do, and obviously you get into little rhythms of how much you want to punch it, how much you... That little squeeze in that. Make sure there's no push bikes about. Give that a nice cut. Yes, perfect. Get that down. That braid's sinking really well. Even though we've got a bit of garbage on the top. Little tweak. Little indication then straight away. What, I don't know. I said that last one was a little fish, but it was a... Oh my God. That is brilliant. That's the power of bread when you're on some fish. Jake, why didn't you have this out last year, this product, when I wanted it? And I couldn't be bothered to do any punch crumb. That's a better fish. And you just think all these natural venues in the UK that people come, like all the boats, there's loads of boats all over these canals in the UK. Everybody feeds the birds, you know, the ducks with bread. So they're so used to it. I think that ain't far off of a bream, that one. I'm not going to rush him. And the sun's come out. It was absolutely freezing cold the last couple of mornings. Very windy, but we got the wind not too bad, to be fair. That feels like a nice fish, that. Be a couple of pound, I reckon, the way that's fighting. Oh, yes, sirree. Beautiful, that. There's something about that style of fishing with bread. And get out and try it, because that product makes this fishing. Look at that. 3-pounder. Nailed. Definitely a disgorger job, that one. Bad angling and got me disgorger. I'll tell you now, we weren't going to... Absolutely stunning Gloucester Canal on the bread.